So first speaker after lunch today is Brenna Lawson from WPS. So, and if you're not familiar with WPS, that's Wisconsin Public Service. Brenna has been involved with the natural gas industry for over 6 years. She first began her career as an engineer for Wisconsin Public Service in 2018 and remained in that position until graduating from, UW Madison. So you're don't tell me, a badger. A badger, which is another fierce animal to keep up with the mascots. I don't know if are you more fierce than a bear cat maybe? Probably? Yeah, okay. So anyways, I get distracted easily. So Brenna got her bachelor's in engineering mechanics in 2021. She then took on a full-time position with Wisconsin Public Service as an engineer within the Gas Code Compliance Department and has been in that role for 3 years. Brenna's primary role involves implementing, monitoring, and record management of natural gas regulated services and related maintenance items for WPS to ensure all surveys are, turn the page, this is not good, this is not good planning. Completed per federal and state regulations. Outside of work, Brenna enjoys spending time with her friends and family, going hiking, traveling, trying new foods. Any new foods while you've been here? Yeah? Yeah, not yet. It's been pretty pork and chicken every meal, I think, right? Anyways, and no donuts probably. No donuts at that. And playing soccer and ultimate frisbee. That's pretty cool. So that is a new one. All right, well, welcome, Brenna.
All right, is the mic working fine? Perfect. So like he introduced me, I'm Brenna Lawson. I work for Wisconsin Public Service. You may, if you attended last year's Earth User Summit, have met my coworker, Stan Walensky. He did a presentation about kind of just an overall view of how we use Utilisphere. So today I'm going to go over a more specific process that we recently implemented with our Odorant Checks and kind of walking through the design of that and highlighting some of the main features we use within Utilisphere. So I guess my introduction covered most of this, but engineer with our gas regulated survey group in gas code compliance, 6 years in the utility industry, so 3 of those being as a co-op engineer, so experience with both operations engineering and gas code compliance, and then now engineering in gas code compliance for the past over about 3.5 years now. To give you a little background on Wisconsin Public Service, in case you're not aware of our service territory, so as you can see in the screenshot there with our service territory, everything in that gray shade is where our natural gas locations are, and then everything inside of that red boundary is our electric. So we currently have just under 350,000 gas customers with 8,600 miles of gas main, 320,000 gas services that go to our customers, and about 1,200 employees currently working for WPS. And then if you're not familiar, WPS is actually part of a family company under WEC Energy Group. So we have 7 different companies spread out through Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and Michigan. So our portion's kind of that more northeastern Wisconsin part. But throughout WEC Energy, we have about 4.7 million gas customers, or customers total, 72,000 miles of electric distribution, 4,400 miles of natural gas distribution and transmission lines, 8,300 megawatts of power capacity, and then total throughout WEC about 7,000 employees. So just briefly going through the agenda, what I plan to cover. So this will be a pretty quick presentation, but I want to give you an overview of our gas code compliance group, then get into the actual odorant check part itself. So give an overview of that project, some of the design and implementation steps we took, some challenges we ran into and how we were able to resolve that using Utilisphere, and then some general key takeaways. Jumping into our group as a whole, so we consist of 8 employees with a mix of supervisors, engineers, and gas system analysts. So a pretty close-knit group that we work with out of our Green Bay office. Our main responsibilities within gas code compliance are listed here. So big ones overseeing any compliance activities with our state and federal gas regulations. We work closely with our state commissioners of Wisconsin. Biggest one our group does is manage the regulated survey and inspection program, so that's my largest role within this group. And then also within gas code compliance, we manage our damage prevention programs and also administer our distribution integrity management plan. Give you a summary of what our survey and inspection resources are, so completing a lot of our high volume surveys out in the field. So we do actually hire 60 seasonal laborers that work May through August. And so most of the time, these are actually college students that come home for the summer. They get operator qualified, so they are union employees. And they'll do a lot of our high volume surveys throughout the summer, which include our leak survey of our services, as well as atmospheric corrosion inspections of our meter sets. Along with that, we do have 120 full-time gas mechanics. So these guys are kind of the jack of all trades. They do a lot of our operational and construction tasks, as well as completing different patrols, inspections, and leak surveys. So they kind of do it all, everything we need for as far as surveys and construction go. And then we do have a small group of contractors. For the most part, all of our things are completed in-house with our own employees, but we do have some that we hire to do our leak survey of distribution mains, so just the driving portions of that. Then just to give you an overview of what our current process is for getting work items into Utilisphere and documenting our different survey processes in there. So we take all of our information from our different asset systems, our GIS system, and then the available customer information we have. And we then manipulate that data into a spreadsheet based on the types of fields we want to get uploaded to Utilisphere, based on all the information we need to include. So we will manipulate that, create a spreadsheet that can then be uploaded directly into Utilisphere. From there, once it's uploaded, our employees can go in, complete the different surveys that we have available. Then once that inspection season's closed, once all of those work items are completed, we then do an export from Utilisphere, do some more data manipulation so that we are then able to upload it back to our gas asset systems. So that was a brief summary of our group and what our current process is, but getting into the actual Odorant Check project overview. I guess how many of you are familiar with what an Odorant Check is or have heard of it? Okay, so quite a few, but in case you aren't aware, this is kind of a good picture of what an Odorant Check would look like out in the field. But the biggest thing for Odorant Checks is making sure that we have adequate odorant levels in our systems. So for example here, this is Odorator 2 device that our employees would be using out in the field. They would hook it up into that gas outlet source, plug that back into the Odorator 2, and then there's essentially a valve that gets turned to slowly increase the level of gas that's coming into the system. So they would do quarter to half turn of that valve, do a sniff test, and repeat that process until they are able to detect the odorant level, so until it becomes readily detectable to their nose. And then at that point, once they're able to smell that gas, they would use a system to record what % odorant level that's at and record that value. So some different requirements for odorant checks. So federally, we're required to have, or it's required that the odorant concentration levels are going to be detectable less than 1% gas and air mixture. For our company, we typically have it, the concentration where it's set to either 0.1 to 0.4% gas and air. So at that point, the average human smell would be able to detect that scent and would be able to tell that there's some sort of gas leak, or they'd be able to detect that odorant level. Some of the areas that we are required to sample consist of areas that are historically low odorant levels. So if there was an issue found in the system previously, we would want to make sure we're doing checks on that, making sure that we're up to the required odorant concentration there. Other location would be areas or different extremities of our gas distribution system. So we want to make sure that the odorant concentrations are high enough at our most extreme sections of our gas system. So as far away as possible, we want to make sure the entire system, you are able to detect that odorant. The main reason that we have these odorant concentration requirements is for public safety. So if someone's out and or if there's some sort of gas leak out in our system, we want the average person to be able to smell that immediately and be like, okay, this is a gas leak, I need to report this. If it's too low and nobody's able to smell it, then we would just have an open gas leak that nobody's able to detect. So public awareness and safety is the primary goal for this. Getting into different project goals that we had. So the reason that this came to us is, big one, we just wanted the odorant check process to move from paper forms to a fully electronic form. I know we were talking yesterday how there were work groups that really struggled to get rid of their paper processes, and I would say we definitely had that problem as well. But ever since transitioning to Utilisphere, we now have work groups coming to us to actually suggest that we move certain processes or request that we switch things over from paper to electronic. So they really took onto it and really like the process now. So we did get asked to transfer the odorant checks from paper to electronic. Big reason is we were transferring our work groups. So initially we had a small group of our maintenance mechanics that would go out monthly and complete these checks. But this is now going to be transferring over to our much larger group of distribution mechanics for completion. So that was one reason they wanted to transfer it to electronic with more people that will be completing these. And then the other obvious one, just improving our compliance tracking and also the ease of work distribution for completing these. The reason we utilize Utilisphere for these kind of projects, our company at WPS, we don't currently have a corporate work asset management system that we are able to use, so we don't have Maximo or anything like that. That is in the works and will be a future task that we're moving towards, but currently we really don't have a good integrated system. So Utilisphere actually works perfect for that, for the capabilities that it offers. And then other reason, we have these work groups that are already using this system for a variety of our other different survey processes. So very easy transition to move these odorant checks from paper to electronic. And we have pretty high confidence that our employees would be able to pick up on this pretty easily. Getting into the specific needs and requests for this. So these are the primary things we were looking at when we were working on putting this together. So we first of all need to be able to meet all survey requirements outlined in our company standards and procedures, and this includes federal and state regulations. We also need to be able to complete around 120 odorant checks on a monthly basis. We need to be able to monitor these, and then also be able to notify engineers if there's any sort of odorant issue. So the timeline we had for this was actually first brought to our group back in February of this year. So operations came to our group and said, hey, what can we do with this? Can this be a process that gets transferred into Utilisphere? After some conversation, we began looking into the options here and gathering information. So that February through March really was spent talking to odorant experts. We reviewed the standards and procedures for our company, and then also requested the different odorant location data. And the reason for that is we wanted to see what kind of information we would need and what we would need to upload into Utilisphere to make it accessible for them to complete. So then March through August, this is really when we dove into the Utilisphere side and began that form and process creation. And we're able to finalize that form and process in September. So pretty quick turnaround there with beginning the form design and finalizing it. And then the goal here, so we haven't started this, but November 1st is the tentative go live for our field employees. So we're gonna see how it goes and hopefully everything goes smoothly. But as you can see, February through November, pretty quick turnaround for a completely new process that just got introduced to us. And reason for that is our group, we have a lot of experience completing or designing different survey processes within Utilisphere. And we also are pretty avid on making sure we have process documentation and having everything documented from start to finish, so it makes it a lot easier to implement these projects. So getting into the design and implementation part, just wanted to show you here is a screenshot of the current paper form that we're using. So a lot of the general information that we need for the odorant checks. So this one specifically for our Green Bay area, month and year that it's getting completed listed on top with the instrument that's used. So we were previously using the Odorator 1s. The date that the check was completed, the readily detectable reading that was detected by that odorator, location of the test, which typically is some sort of address, initials of the mechanic that completed it, and then the serial number of that odorator. And then down below just a section for them to enter any remarks, and then signature of the engineer as well as the date. So really what we wanted to do here is transfer this to Utilisphere and make it a pretty smooth transition. So wanted to just highlight some of the key fields that we added to the Utilisphere in our new Odorator form. So this whole outline here, very similar to what we do for all of our different surveys that we have in Utilisphere. We try to keep it consistent. So first one being a survey complete section. So this is really where an employee can mark either, yes, I fully completed the survey. We also give them the option to mark it as incomplete. So if they made an attempt to do the survey, and then for whatever reason, maybe they weren't able to completely access it, they'd be able to mark incomplete so that the next person who's going out there at that site would be able to know what follow-up steps are needed to fully do the survey. So a lot of times it's maybe a customer appointment needs to be made to access it. But once they select that the survey was complete, employee login ID, we have that auto-populated based on who's logged into the system. And then they are able to adjust as needed, but it should just pull up their employee name. They don't have to type that in at all. The survey date will also get automatically generated, and then they'll get into the actual Odorant check results themselves. So where a spot for them to get the Odorator 2 serial number entered, the readily detectable reading, mark if there's any follow-up required, and then type in any remarks that they have. As for the low odorant notification, what we decided to do here, so for our company, anytime we hit a point where they're getting a reading higher than 0.8% gas and air, we want the engineer to be notified, and that's just to make sure we can address any issues before hitting that 1% federally required threshold. So right now what we have it set up, if they enter a value in that readily detectable field greater than 0.8%, a notification then would automatically get sent over to the engineer via process automation rules, and then the engineer would be able to receive that email, address the issue, and make sure that everything's addressed so that we do have those adequate odorant levels in the system. As for addressing the monitoring concern, so we have daily warning reports set up. So starting 2 weeks before the odorant check due date, the operations supervisors will begin getting emails letting them know that these are coming due for an odorant check. And that's just utilizing that daily reminders function that's available in Utilisphere. The time frame for these, so we have about 120 odorant locations that have to have an odorant check completed every single month. So we were able to design kind of a roundabout way to do an automatic process that would generate these work items on a monthly basis. So I'll kind of get into the specifics of that in a few slides here, but we used a combination of different process rules and also data sources to create this automatic process. Then just some other design considerations we looked into. So we wanted to make sure there's proper testing prior to implementation. We also wanted to make sure we had the proper field and form design. So biggest ones here, we want it to be consistent between all of our different survey processes. And then we also wanted it to be intuitive for our end users so that the mechanics could go in and readily just start completing these easily. Process documentation, our group's really big on documenting everything, so we wanted to have proper documentation so that we could continue to implement this on an annual basis. And also if we need to provide any annual refreshers to our employees, we'd have that available as well. And then we also were just looking into general administrator considerations before we started this. So how hard would this be to implement? How much time would it take our group to kind of make sure this is up and running? So that brings us to some of the project challenges, and this is going to highlight more of some features that we were able to use in Utilisphere. So this first one here, the time frame, we'll go into a little more detail on, and the other two will just kind of present what we ran into and then the solution we came up with. But for this one specifically, so we have to do a monthly upload of 120 odorant check locations. And so we wanted the ability to have that be an automatic process. Considering we'll be doing checks of the same 120 odorant checks every single month. So we really just want those to keep repeating in the system so that they can keep completing those on a monthly basis. And really the goal, we want to avoid doing the manual upload if we could. So some of the proposed solutions we looked into, first one being we just do that manual upload. So we would prep our upload file beginning of the year for each of the months, and then right before the first of each month, we'd go in, do that manual upload in Utilisphere. Second option, upload all of the checks for the year, so all of the different months available, and then using different rules within the forms, restrict employees from being able to complete any work items that are outside of that current month time frame. Third option here, design an automatic recurring monthly process. And then the fourth one, use existing Irth capabilities, so either the API feature or offloading some of the administrative tasks. So we landed on number 3. So we wanted to design an automatic recurring monthly process. And this is also kind of a combination we used with 2 as well, from helping restrict employees from not completing work items in a current month. But for the automatic process, really what we did here is, so they'd pull open the current month's work item, fill it out, complete that check for the month. Once they close out that work item, using that parent-child linkage, similar to when you would have a survey completed that would then create a maintenance item, we did this for creating another work item for the next month. So say they went and did the October month, completed it, closed it out, that would then automatically generate a new work item for the month of November that would then be available for them to complete. So this also we used some process automation and then data source as well to make sure that this worked. The data source that we created, so this was a big part of being able to do the monthly process. So right now we'd have a field within our form that would be set to the current month. And then in our data source, it would reference that current month and then generate the next month, as well as the start and end date for that next month. So with that as well, we knew, okay, if they were completing a work item in the middle of the month, and then it would generate next month, we didn't want employees to be able to go in and complete next month's on accident. So also using some form rules in the app designer, we were able to disable work items that were not in the current month time frame. So for example, if they generated that November month, they'd be able to pull it open, but none of the fields would be available for them to actually complete the work item. So wouldn't be any chances of error or completing in the wrong month. To give you a visual of the data source that we put together, so on the left is what the spreadsheet looked like that we created, and then some of the fields that we would have in the form that would be hidden from the employees. But left side, we have the month, which would list the current month. Then the next month it's referencing. And then we have the specific start and end dates for that next month. So then that's what it's pulling to populate the next form. So the reason we landed on this, really an administrative time saver, removes that need for doing any sort of monthly upload. Also just ensures that next month's work will always be available on the first of the month. So we wanted to avoid any chance of error on our end. If we somehow accidentally forget on a monthly or on one of the months to upload it, this kind of resolved that. We wouldn't have to worry about that. And then we also do not currently have the capability to utilize the API feature just with our company's current options. So that was kind of out of the question. So we needed to come up with a roundabout way to do this. Another challenge we ran into, ad hoc locations. So we needed the ability to let mechanics fill out odorant checks for more ad hoc locations outside of that monthly scheduled system. So we were told when we were designing this that there are situations where a gas mechanic needs to go out to do an odorant check, and it's not part of our monthly scheduled process. So how would they do that? How would they be able to enter the location they were at and all that completion information? So what we came up with was essentially a blank work item. So the form fields that we have up, that would generate on the form are generated based on how we designate it. So we would either designate it as a scheduled work item or an ad hoc work item. And based on that designation, when we do our upload, it would either display or hide specific form fields based on whether it was listed as scheduled or ad hoc. So for our scheduled items, this would have all pre-populated data. So it'd have the address, it would have the district they're working out of, the month that they're completing the odorant check, whereas the ad hoc side would have blank text fields that could be filled in by the employee. So they would be able to manually type in a specific address they were at, they would be able to designate what month they're completing it in. And to give you a visual of what that looks like in the form, so on the top would be our typical scheduled one. So this is the primary one that our employees would use. So they'd pull open the work item, they would see the month and year that they're working on, as well as some of the different location details. So just in this screenshot, we have address and then a premise ID that's associated with it. And then down below is what they would see if they pulled open an ad hoc work item. So this gives them the option to use the drop-down to select the month they're working out of, enter the district they're working in, and then also type in that address. So these situations are more rare and they don't use it too often, but we still wanted this to be available because we wanted to do a complete switch to electronic. We didn't want to have to keep having paper forms and electronic going around, so this was our way that we could fully transition to the electronic version. And then the last challenge here, so we have about 20 Odorant 2s that are new to the company. So this is going to be a new process for us starting in the November timeframe. So each region across WPS will have a certain number of devices assigned to them. And each odorator has their own unique serial number. And for each odorant check that we complete, we need to document the serial number of that odorant that was used. So a solution we had for generating those Odorant 2 serial numbers, this is mainly because we wanted to prevent employees from having to manually type in that serial number for every check they completed. So we did a region-dependent pick list. So using a data source, we listed each region of the company, and then we also listed the serial numbers that were assigned to that region, so that when they pull up in the form, and they get to that office section, they use the drop-down to select the office that they're working out of. And then the Odorant 2 serial numbers, it would give them a pick list of only the serial numbers that are assigned to that district. So really removing chances for error, because we know when people are manually typing, always a chance for something to be typed incorrectly. And then we also didn't want to just do a giant list of all the different serial numbers. More room for error, just more options to select from. So this just makes it a little more intuitive for our end user. So that just brings us to the key takeaways here. Really wanted to just highlight some of the main features of Utilisphere and what has worked for us and why we really like to use this for our inspections and surveys. So as you can see, this was introduced to us back in February to start this odorant check process. And we were able to come up with a bunch of different ways to make this work for our group. So really that ability to create and customize forms is amazing. You can do this for a wide range of projects and really get creative with how you do it. Also the automation capabilities, the fact we were able to just create that monthly reoccurrence process really helped out our group for efficiency. And then overall data integrity is, since we used to be on paper, switching to this has just helped with our ease of survey tracking so much. We can access all of our survey data at the touch of a finger, so it's really nice just having that kind of backup to fully see all your data. You don't have to look through paper forms and all that. But yeah, that is about it. If you do have any paper processes that you are interested in moving to Utilisphere or trying to make electronic, definitely would be happy to talk with you on any of your thoughts or help you out with anything that you're interested in doing, because our group has done a ton of design stuff within Utilisphere and we've tried to get creative with some of the things we're doing. So that is my email and phone number in case you do have any questions. But otherwise, I don't know if we wanted to do questions now or after the next presentation. Right now? Perfect. Yeah, so if anyone has questions for me. Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome presentation. Good, really good information. Are you able to capture calibration data from the odorators into Utilisphere?
We are not currently doing that, so I believe that's going to be a separate process that they're doing more on the operations side. But I believe we could if we wanted to. Yeah, but I think we're not going to be doing that yet.
Part two, or maybe separate question completely, but historically, from a leak survey and atmospheric corrosion standpoint, you try to mirror those surveys, right? Because you're out touching the meter sets, you're getting eyes on them and stuff. And with the new leak detection and repair laws and things like that and advanced leak detection, how are you overcoming those challenges where you're not seeing the meters nearly as often as you used to from an atmospheric corrosion standpoint?
So yeah, I guess is your question more?
Like, how are you capturing like atmospheric corrosion data on meters now that you're really not, like I'm assuming when you say you're driving the leak detection vehicles?
Oh yeah, I guess for our actual atmospheric corrosion, so we are on a 3-year cycle, so we do have employees, so those are typically our summer students that May through August. They are physically going to those meter sets and recording all that detail. So we do have people like on the ground actually going and checking out those meter sets.
Awesome.
Yeah.
really liked your solution of the serial numbers. And so knowing that you all are having this data source that the dropdown is referencing, and that's kind of filtering down between these two columns, like a parent, kind of like a child relationship, how are you all updating that data source of serial numbers? Is that like a manual process, or is there an automation setup that dumps that data?
Yeah, currently just manual, so if they did have any update with the serial number, they would send it our way, and it'd be a pretty quick fix. We'd just go in the spreadsheet, update it, and probably take less than 5 minutes, so manually right now.
Beautiful, thank you.
Around the ad hoc ones, that when those are put in, are those then reviewed? Is there a notification of, hey, we need to include this in our normal set, or do you link that back to that parent item?
So those, yeah, right now they would kind of be separate, not really linked to anything. So they would complete it. It should be a more rare occurrence that this even happens, but once it does get filled out, it would kind of pop up in our monthly review, and they'd be able to take a look and see what was going on there, why they needed to do the ad hoc one. Yeah, good question, because I'm sure once we start implementing this in November, there's probably going to be changes to our current process, how it's set up, so we're looking forward to seeing how it goes. Yeah, we are not recording that because it's not actually federally required at all to have that recording, so we're kind of just having them look at it on the Odorator too, but not documenting it at all right now.
Yeah, any difficulties with some of the process automation and designing the work item that you could give us advice on as we build our own work items? I always like learning what other people's struggles and successes were.
Yeah, I guess it would depend what you're trying to do. I would say for us, it was a lot of trial and error, kind of playing around with it and see what works, see what doesn't, see what we can break. And yeah, I guess if you had any specific ones you wanted me to take a look at, or if you had any thoughts, I could definitely talk you through it, because I would say every situation's kind of different about what you need to do and different steps you can take, so. All right. Well, thank you for having me.